that here. I'm just going to show you how it would look if I haven't done it. I can click on Add Event Source. And here you find different event source types. So I could say, for example, on a new event within Kinesis, right? And then it allows me to select the stream. It allows me to also tell us the Lambda function and how much batch I want to operate. So I could, for example, say on every event that comes in, that would be batch size 1. That's generally not the best practice, and sometimes you want to do a simple aggregation. So 100, for example, is 1. It fully manages which data it has operated on. It allows you to change things like, I want to trim the horizon, which is a queuing mechanism, work on what hasn't been worked upon yet, or work on the latest one. That's another way of starting it. And then you can enable that event source. We talked about other ones like S3, for example. Can easily connect it to an S3 bucket and say, for example, whenever I have new objects being created in my S3 bucket with a certain prefix, maybe I just want to do that wildcard, then execute that Lambda function, for example. Another one would be SNS or DynamoDB. In this scenario, I'm just going to leave it with Kinesis. So I created that here. I created an event source Kinesis, and I connected it to the Twitter demo stream. So whenever a new tweet comes into Twitter demo stream, this piece of code is being executed to find a hashtag and then eventually put it into an Elasticsearch appliance. Now, before I continue, I'm just going to tell Twitter to actually stream information to my Kinesis stream. I'm just going to use a small little EC2 instance to do that. Now, I don't want to tap onto the entire firehouse, otherwise it's going to be a lot. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to look for certain words and have them put into my Kinesis stream. So I live in Hong Kong, so what should we listen at? Money would be a good example, I guess. Everybody loves money. What else do we want to listen to? Any cool words? Yes? Dim sum? All right. Let's see if that's popular. Dim sum. All right. So what now happens is Twitter will send this information into my Kinesis stream. All tweets come in. For every incoming tweet, it will call my Lambda function, since my Lambda function is connected to it, and that will index it into an Elasticsearch appliance. Now that Elasticsearch appliance sits here, so I can just load it up. Let me refresh this properly. So this is Kibana. This is the user interface of the visualization tool that sits on top of Elasticsearch. So if I look at Discover, I should see now there are tweets coming in, which is great. A lot about money so far, which is what to be expected. What Kibana allows you to do is to kind of quickly move around in terms of data, start exploring it one by one, and also start filtering it using filter tags on here. It also allows you to create visualization components out of it, like area charts, line charts, pie charts, and all kinds of metrics, and then eventually plug them together. So I created a few here. I created some hashtag top 10 lists and pies within Kibana. And that allows you to plug it into a dashboard. And I actually pre-created one, so let's try to load that one up. And here we go. You see so far we're collecting a lot of different tweets, 590 so far, and so far only about money. I'm thinking dim sum too now. I'm not dinner yet, so that's the next. But this is interesting. You see, for example, now what people are tweeting about. So popular keywords. Let's just refresh this, see if it's still working. Yes, it is. Tweets are coming in. We're seeing here money is being tweeted about. Let me change that that keyword. I wanna try another competing keyword. So even though I like dim sum a lot, I think not a lot of people are tweeting about it. I have the free Twitter account, so I can only listen to two topics for now. That's why I'm killing it. Let's think about food. I guess that's probably a little bit more popular. So we're also listening to food now. So let's see. There you go. Actually, dim sum was coming in. There was one coming in. Dim sum and food slowly starts comparing. So you see, this is a great way of starting visualizing things. An example of where, for example, I know that people care more about money than food, apparently. since we get more tweets there. And apparently now playing and Game Insight and Money and Android games seem to be very interesting hashtags. And you see Kibana as an interesting tool because it allows me to drill down in here. I could, for example, say, oh, this is interesting. I want to filter based on this. For example, I want to find all the tags that have Game Insight and food in it, and I apply for it. And there we go, and it filters things out. Or, for example, only food. There you go. Food hashtags like iPhone games, etc. It allows you to work on that data. It allows you to define a time component to it, like the last hour, the last 15 minutes, and it even can do an auto refresh where you say refresh this page every 5 seconds, for example, so that you can put it on a nice screen in the office, and obviously have a live dashboard of what's going on. You see now the refresh is happening, and we see more and more tweets are coming in 2033 already. So money and food, popular topics being discussed about. Now this is an example. Thank you. This is an example of what you can do in a live demo. The key point here is really to think about a few things. The first one is to say, I want to have an environment that is fully managed and goes to any kind of scale, right? If we have a stream like Kinesis, we can do that. We can safely say, give me any kind of input data. Think about the Internet of Things space or scenario, right? Lots of devices out there. Put it somewhere where you can work on it. And then the next thing, instead of like polling it yourself, think about how event-driven compute can help you. Lambda allows you to just say, whenever there's something new, work on it, right? You don't need to manage that aspect. If nothing comes in, you're not even charged for it, right? Because it's execution time that you charged for it. And then you can use it as an ingestion point, and you saw something what I did, right? I only had one virtual server behind it. I don't bother, right? Because I'm the only one looking at this visualization here. Data would still be nicely stored through my Kinesis stream, right? So you can think about different stages, Elasticsearch and Kibana being a nice way of using open source tool to live visualize this. Now, obviously for your specific use cases, you might decide, I want to also store it in an S3 bucket. I might want to load it into my Hadoop cluster, into my R environment, etc., and work on it. By the way, R has also integration into Kinesis if you want to work directly on a stream. Now, this is all I had for today in terms of topics. I want to cover up a few questions and ideas you have. Before I do that, Lenny, my colleague, gave you a little feedback form earlier. I think you have a little piece of sheet paper in front of your lab. If you haven't, you get some more copies there. It's always great for us to kind of get a feedback of how you like the session, but more importantly, if you fill this out, you get $50 US. This is not Taiwan dollars, it's US dollars. You get $50 US credits in our platform, so you can start using some of those services. This Twitter demo that I just presented, for example, would cost you roughly about 20 cents an hour. So you could let it run for a fair amount of time with $50 US. Apart from that, I went through a bunch of different services, and you see we get lots of different services. If you have something that you're interested in building, talk to us, because we can help you identify what you should be looking at. Don't go out and use all the services. I don't know any customer who uses all of them. So look at that. Another thing, I'm here in Taiwan, obviously, to come to this lovely user group, but also some other cool events with III that we organize. If you got time, this Wednesday, we actually organize an event on explaining with how to scale applications on top of AWS. Little disclaimer, it's me partially talking, that piece is in English, even though this is written in Chinese. The later workshops are going to be also with my Chinese colleagues, where we get hands-on on your laptop to actually try things out. So if you get time, sign up for it. There's the URL here. This Wednesday, it's a full day. It's a presentation style in the morning, and then hands-on keyboard. You bring your own laptop and you can try things out live together with us in the afternoon. It's going to be at another CLBC building. Here's the address. I can only read type A. You can help me with the rest. So if you want to attend that, sign up for it. And apart from that, I want to thank you very much for your attention and want to open the door for questions. Thank you. Yeah.
You just demo the example. So is there any code I should write
For this specific example, if you would like to do the same example, if you would need to write code. So the only piece of code you would need is the one I showed, which is to find the hashtags. Right, so that piece, I can share it with you. Don't use it in production. I haven't tested it really too roughly. But happily sharing that with you. Apart from that, we also got code samples in the AWS Labs part, so GitHub/AWS Labs. There are lots of code samples there too, which is a good way to kind of get started with it. Yeah.
Another question is you just mentioned the database, Redshift.
Yeah.
It's a current database. And should I use a specific library to use the database?
Very good question. So if we use a columnar database like Amazon Redshift, for example, do we need a specific library to talk to it? The answer would be no. You only need a SQL, so it's fully ANSI SQL compatible. So your ODBC, JDBC connector could be used in the scenario of R. You can just write your normal SQL queries. There are a few limitations of some very specific aggregation statements that you might or might not be able to do. What I would say is you find pretty much compatibility with a PostgreSQL-like kind of database environment, because that's where we spun it off from the initial fork. That's where you'll find it. For most queries, no specific requirements. So just normal SQL query, just ODBC or JDBC, that way you talk to it and then throw your query against it. Good questions. Yeah?
Doesn't quite need your ecosystem, but I'm curious, since does you regard like Apache Kafka as a competitor compared to Kinesis?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So the question is if Kafka would be a competitor to Kinesis, and I wouldn't necessarily say it's a competitor. The way we see things is when we come up with services like this, it's not that we're trying to build something new, but it's to help our users.